The Galactic Council chamber stretched across 3 kilometers of polished stone and floating platforms. Representatives from 847 civilizations filled the space with colors, sounds, and scents that no single world could produce. Above them, holographic displays showed live feeds to billions of viewers across thousands of star systems. Today was special. Today, humanity would learn its place in the galaxy. Ambassador Deho stood in the human section, a small platform near the back. His gray suit looked plain compared to the elaborate garments and exotic forms around him. He had learned to ignore the stares, the whispers, the casual dismissals. Humans had joined the galactic community only 5 years ago. They were still the newcomers, still the primitives who had barely mastered faster-than-light travel. High Commander Thelax of the Vrin Empire rose from the central dais. His silver exoskeleton caught the light from 1,000 sources. The Vrin were ancient, powerful, and they never let anyone forget it. His voice boomed through translation systems in every known language. The great trial has been prepared. As is tradition, humanity must prove its worth to hold full council membership. You will retrieve the Ashborn artifact from the Expanse. You have 1 standard galactic year. Failure means reduction to observer status for 1 century. The chamber filled with murmurs and clicking sounds. Daiho watched the holographic displays shift to show the Ashborn Expanse, a region of space where 40 civilizations had risen and fallen. Gravitational anomalies twisted space itself. Radiation storms could strip shields in minutes. Ancient defense systems still guarded forgotten ruins. It was called the Graveyard of Empires for good reason. Thelax continued, his tone dripping with false courtesy. When the Vrin faced this trial 12,000 years ago, we sent 500 warships. The Queller sent 800 vessels. Even the peaceful Talmari sent 300 ships with their best crews. This is the expected standard. Deho felt the weight of expectation pressing down. Every species had sent fleets, hundreds of ships, thousands of crew members, the best technology their civilizations could offer. Some still failed. The ones that succeeded became legends. He activated his platform's communication system. The human delegation has made its decision. The chamber fell silent. Billions watched from across the galaxy. Betting pools had formed overnight. Nobody expected humans to succeed, but they were curious about how humanity would fail. Earth will send 1 ship, Deho said clearly, the Persistent with a crew of 5. For 3 heartbeats there was perfect silence. Then the chamber erupted. Laughter rolled across the platforms like thunder. Holographic displays lit up with commentary in 1,000 languages. The translations all said the same thing. Humans were fools. Thelax's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. 1 ship? Ambassador, perhaps you do not understand the magnitude of this challenge. Species far more advanced than yours have sent armadas and barely survived. We understand perfectly, Deho replied. His voice remained calm, but his hands gripped the podium edge. 1 ship, 1 crew? That is humanity's answer. The laughter grew louder. A delegate from the insectoid Queller hive mind chittered through their translator. Perhaps humans count differently? Do they mean 100 ships? They mean suicide, someone else called out. The holographic feeds exploded with activity. Entertainment networks across the galaxy scrambled to capitalize on what they were already calling humanity's folly. Odds appeared on betting sites, 10,000 to 1 against human success. Some markets offered 20,000 to 1. Thelax raised 1 clawed hand and the chamber quieted. Very well. We respect your confidence. The trial begins when your vessel enters the Expanse. May your ancestors watch over you, Ambassador. You will need their guidance. His tone made clear he thought guidance would be worthless. Deho bowed slightly and deactivated his platform. As he left the chamber, he could feel thousands of eyes following him. Some pitied the humans. Most simply found them entertaining. 3 days later, the Persistent hung in Earth orbit like a small gray seed against the planet's blue curve. It was not impressive by galactic standards. Mid-sized, built for exploration and adapted with human engineering, it looked primitive compared to the elegant vessels in the Council's shipyards. But it was solid, reliable, and it was theirs. Captain Bora walked the corridors one last time before departure. She was 42 with iron gray hair cut short and eyes that had seen 3 colonial wars. She had a reputation for bringing her crews home alive, even from situations that should have killed them all. Her crew trusted her completely. That trust would be tested soon enough. In the engine room, Lieutenant Commander Hyunwoo argued with a display panel. He was 35, loud when excited, but brilliant under pressure. Grease stained his uniform, and he had not slept in 20 hours. The engines were his children, and he would not let them fail. "Captain," he said without turning, "shield generators are running at 105% efficiency. I reinforced the frequency modulators with some tricks I learned during the Saturn runs. We will not be the strongest ship in that graveyard, but we will be the most stubborn." Bora allowed herself a small smile. "Good. Stubborn keeps us alive." On the bridge, Navigator Soman checked her calculations for the 100th time. She was 29, quiet, with hands that never stopped moving. She had spent 10 years mining asteroids in the belt, learning to feel gravity's pull, to sense the invisible currents in space. She knew the void better than she knew people. "The route to the expanse is clean," she reported. "But once we are inside, all navigation data becomes unreliable. We will be flying on instinct and sensor readings." "Trust your instincts," Bora said. "They kept you alive in the belt. They will keep us alive out there." Dr. Jihan entered the bridge carrying medical supplies. She was the youngest at 27, with bright eyes that saw every situation as a puzzle to solve. She had trained in xenobiology because she wanted to understand alien life, not fear it. Now she would get her chance. "Medical bay is ready for anything," she announced cheerfully. "Though I hope we face gravitational problems and not biological ones. Alien bacteria are unpredictable." Tactical Officer Kyungmin looked up from his station. He was 31, sharp-featured, with a mind that saw patterns in chaos. He had graduated top of his class in military strategy, but had never seen real combat. This journey would change that. "Captain, I have been analyzing previous attempts to reach the artifact. Every species that sent large fleets tried to overwhelm the challenges with numbers. When they encountered the automated defense systems, they fought direct engagements. Most lost 50% of their ships before retreating." "We do not have 50 ships to lose," Bora observed dryly. "Exactly, so we cannot fight like them. We must think differently." Bora moved to the captain's chair and sat down. Through the view screen, Earth turned slowly below them. Somewhere down there, 7 billion people watched and waited. Some believed in this mission. Some thought it was madness. But they were all human, and that meant something. "Crew," she said quietly. "The galaxy thinks sending one ship is arrogance. Let them think that. The truth is simpler. We are not here to match their numbers or prove we can build bigger fleets. We are here to show them what humans do best. We adapt, we survive. We solve problems others consider impossible." She paused. "And we take care of each other. No matter what happens out there, we come home together." "Yes, Captain," they answered as one. The communication system chimed. Mission Control gave final clearance. Hyunwoo's engines hummed with barely contained power. Soman's fingers danced across navigation controls. Jihan checked medical systems one last time. Kyungmin monitored every sensor, looking for threats before they even left orbit. "Take us out," Bora ordered. The Persistent broke orbit smoothly, accelerating away from Earth's gravity well. Behind them, the homeworld shrank to a blue marble, then a point of light, then a memory. Ahead lay the dark between stars, and beyond that, the Ashbourne expanse. On thousands of worlds, billions watched the departure. The entertainment networks broadcast it with commentary that ranged from mockery to pity. "Humanity's last mistake," one headline read. "5 brave fool," said another. The betting odds actually worsened, 12,000 to 1 now, but Bora did not care about odds or opinions. She cared about her crew and the mission. As the Persistent engaged its faster-than-light drive, space bent around them like silk around a finger. Reality twisted, compressed, and suddenly they were moving between the stars at speeds that seemed to break physics itself. The journey to the expanse would take 4 days. 4 days to prepare, to plan, to rest before the real challenge began. Bora used that time to study everything the galaxy had recorded about previous attempts. She watched videos of Vryn warships torn apart by gravitational riptides. She read reports of Queller scout craft dissolved by radiation. She memorized the locations where 40 civilizations had died, and she looked for patterns, for weaknesses, for opportunities. On the 4th day, Soman's voice came over the ship-wide communication. Approaching the expanse boundary. Dropping to sublight in 30 seconds, the crew took their stations. Hearts beat faster. Hands gripped controls. This was the moment. Space folded back to normal. The debris field stretched in every direction like a 3-dimensional graveyard. The Persistent moved through it slowly, carefully, threading between wrecks that told silent stories of failure. Sumon's hands moved across the navigation controls with the delicate touch of an artist. Every few seconds, she adjusted their course by fractions of a degree, avoiding gravitational eddies that sensors detected too late. "Ship ahead," Kyungmin announced. Queller design, approximately 800 years old. Hull breach on multiple decks. Whatever killed them did it fast. Bora studied the wreck on her display. The Queller were not weak. Their ships had thick armor and redundant systems. But something had crushed this vessel like stepping on an insect. "Mark its position. We want to know what killed it before we fly into the same trap." "Already on it, Captain." Kyungmin's fingers flew across his tactical board. "There is a gravity well 300 kilometers ahead, not marked on any chart. It appears and disappears on a 72-hour cycle. The Queller ship hit it during its active phase." Jihan looked up from her medical station. "A 72-hour cycle? That is oddly specific. Natural gravitational anomalies do not usually follow precise patterns. Maybe it is not natural," Hyunwoo suggested from engineering. "Maybe it is a defense system. The ancients were clever. Why build walls when you can build traps that look like random space phenomena?" Bora considered this. "Can we predict when it will be inactive?" Kyungmin worked his calculations. "Based on the Queller ship's age and position, yes. The well should go dormant in approximately 6 hours. We can pass safely then." "Good, we wait. Soman, find us a stable position where we can hold." The navigator nodded and guided them to a relatively calm pocket of space between two ancient wrecks. The Persistent settled into a slow drift, conserving power while sensors continuously mapped the area. Waiting was hard. The crew tried to stay busy with routine tasks, but everyone felt the weight of the expanse pressing against the hull. Outside, radiation storms painted the darkness with violent colors. Inside, the ship felt small and fragile. Jihan made rounds, checking on everyone. She found Kyungmin staring at tactical displays with bloodshot eyes. "When did you last sleep?" "Sleep is for when we are not in a graveyard," he replied without looking away from his screens. "Sleep is for when your brain needs to process information efficiently," she corrected gently. "You are no use to anyone if exhaustion makes you miss something important." 4 hours, doctor's orders. He wanted to argue but saw the determination in her eyes. 2 hours. 3, and I will bring you decent coffee instead of the engine room mixture Hyunwoo drinks. Deal. When the gravity well finally went dormant, Soman guided them through with the precision of a surgeon. They passed the danger zone with 50 meters to spare. Behind them, the invisible trap remained, waiting for its next victim. "Well done," Bora said quietly. "How much further to the artifact's energy signature?" 3 days at current speed, Soman answered. "But the path gets worse. There is a dense debris field ahead, and sensor readings show active defense systems." "Of course there are." Bora allowed herself a tired smile. "Nothing worth having comes easy. Maintain course." The dense debris field appeared 12 hours later. It was not just wrecks anymore. This was the remains of an actual battle, frozen in time for millennia. Thousands of ship fragments hung in complex orbital patterns, some still radiating dangerous levels of energy. And scattered among them, waiting in silence, were the Guardian drones. Kyungmin spotted them first. "Captain, I have multiple active contacts. Automated defense systems, Vorhan collective design. They are approximately 10,000 years old, but power signatures indicate full functionality." "How many?" Bora asked. "At least 40 in sensor range, probably more beyond that." He pulled up specifications from the Galactic database. "According to records, Vorhan drones operate in coordinated groups. They have adaptive combat algorithms and energy weapons that can penetrate most modern shields. The Vrin lost 63 ships to them during their trial." Hyunwoo's voice came through the communication system from engineering. "Our shields are good, but they are not miracle workers. If 40 drones attack simultaneously, we last maybe 2 minutes." The bridge fell silent. 2 minutes. That was all the time between them and becoming another wreck in this graveyard. Jihan broke the silence. "The Vrin fought them directly?" "Yes," Kyungmin confirmed. "Standard military doctrine. Superior firepower, coordinated fleet tactics. They overwhelmed the drones through numbers." "But we do not have numbers," Soman observed. "No," Bora agreed. "So we do not fight like the Vrin. Kyungmin, pull up everything we know about Vorhan drone behavior. I want to know how they think." For the next hour, Kyungmin dissected ancient battle records while Jihan helped analyze behavioral patterns. The Vorhan Collective had been gone for 10,000 years, but their machines remained, endlessly following the last orders their creators gave them. Protect this space. They are predictable, Jihan finally announced. Very predictable. The drones follow rigid combat algorithms. When they detect a threat, they assess ship class and respond with predetermined tactics. Large warships trigger full assault protocols. Scout ships trigger pursuit patterns. Kyungmin saw where she was going. And if they detect multiple ships, they divide their forces to engage all targets simultaneously. It is actually in their programming to prevent enemies from concentrating firepower. Bora leaned forward. Can we fake multiple ship signatures? Theoretically, yes. Hyunwoo sounded excited now. Our sensor profile is already confusing by galactic standards. Human technology uses different frequencies. If I modify our emissions and Kyungmin projects false contacts through our communication array, we could make one ship look like a squadron. How long? Give me 3 hours. You have 2. Get started. Hyunwoo worked miracles in engineering, pulling apart systems and rebuilding them in ways that would horrify any traditional galactic engineer. He rerouted power conduits, modified transmission frequencies, and created feedback loops that made the persistence energy signature pulse and split. Kyungmin programmed the communication array to broadcast false position data. Each fake signal mimicked a different class of human vessel, from small scouts to medium cruisers. To the drone's ancient sensors, it would look like a 5-ship formation. When they were ready, the persistent advanced into the debris field. Almost immediately, proximity alarms screamed. 40 drones emerged from hiding spots among the wreckage, their weapons charging with light that had killed countless ships before. Activating false signatures, Kyungmin announced. His fingers danced across controls. Now. The drone's sensors detected 5 human ships in loose formation. Their programming kicked in immediately. The swarm divided into 5 groups of 8, each moving to engage a different target. They spread out, trying to prevent the human fleet from concentrating fire on any single drone group. It is working, Somin breathed. They are dividing their forces. Bora watched the tactical display with calm focus. Somin, plot us a course through the gaps in their coverage. Stay close to the debris. Use the wreckage as cover. The navigator's hands flew across controls. The persistent dove toward a cluster of ancient hull fragments, engines burning hard. Behind them, 8 drones pursued what they thought was one ship, while 32 others chased ghosts. The real ship weaved through the debris field like a fish through coral. Salmon's asteroid belt experience showed in every maneuver. She used gravity assists from larger fragments to change direction without wasting fuel. She anticipated debris drift and gravitational effects seconds before sensors confirmed them. One drone got close enough to fire. Green energy lanced through space, missing the persistent by meters and vaporizing a Queller wreck fragment instead. Shields holding, Hyunwoo reported. But we cannot take many direct hits. We will not need to, Bora said. Somin, how long until we clear the field? 4 minutes at current speed. It was the longest 4 minutes of their lives. The pursuing drones adapted, learning from near misses and adjusting their firing solutions. But they were still following 10,000-year-old programming, and Somin was flying on pure instinct shaped by years in Earth's asteroid belt. She pulled maneuvers that should not have worked. She used gravitational slingshots that made the hull groan. She flew within meters of debris that would have shredded them on contact, and somehow, miraculously, they emerged from the far side of the field intact. Behind them, the drones reached their patrol boundary and stopped. Their programming did not allow pursuit beyond the debris field. They hung in space for a moment, then slowly returned to their hiding spots to wait for the next intruder. Status? Bora asked. Shields at 67%, Hyunwoo reported. Hull integrity good. Engines need minor repairs but nothing critical. We made it, Captain. The crew released breaths they had not realized they were holding. Kyungmin laughed, slightly hysterical. We just outmaneuvered 40 automated warships with sensor tricks and crazy flying. The Vrin sent 500 ships and lost 63. We sent one and lost nothing. Not nothing, Jihan corrected, checking her medical scanners. Everyone's blood pressure is dangerously high, and I think Somin pulled a muscle in her shoulder from the maneuvers. The Vrin scout ship hung in space like a fly in a spider's web. Invisible gravitational forces pulled it in 3 directions simultaneously, slowly tearing the hull apart. Through the view screen, the Persistence crew could see atmosphere venting from small breaches. freezing instantly into glittering clouds of ice crystals. Life signs confirmed, Jihan reported from her medical station. 5 Vrin aboard. Their distress beacon is automated, but someone is still alive to maintain emergency power. Kyungmin studied the gravitational field with growing concern. The eddy they are caught in is complex. It is not one gravity well, but 3, intersecting in a rotating pattern. That is why they cannot escape. Every time they try to thrust in one direction, another well pulls them back. Can we pull them out? Bora asked. Salman worked through calculations, her face tight with concentration. Maybe. I can use a slingshot maneuver around that micro-black hole. She pointed to a spot on the display where space itself seemed to bend inward. We dive in, grab them with a magnetic tether and use the black hole's gravity to throw us both out. It is dangerous. Very dangerous. If my timing is off by even 1 second, we both get pulled past the event horizon. Hyunwoo's voice came through the communication system. Captain, I can rig a magnetic tether from spare parts, but it means shutting down our weapons array completely. We will have no offensive capability for at least 12 hours after the rescue. Bora absorbed this information. No weapons for 12 hours in a region of space filled with automated defense systems and unknown hazards. If anything attacked them during that window, they would be helpless. How long before the Vrin ship's hull fails? She asked. 5 hours, 40 minutes, Jihan answered. After that, they die. The bridge fell silent except for the soft hum of life support and the occasional ping from sensors. Every crew member understood the weight of this moment. Saving the Vrin meant risking everything they had worked for. It meant depleting fuel reserves they might need later. It meant flying a maneuver so dangerous that one mistake would kill them all. And the Vrin had not come here as friends. The scout ship's presence was not coincidence. They had followed the persistent into the expanse, probably with orders to observe, to gather intelligence, maybe even to interfere if humans got too close to success. Kyungmin broke the silence. Captain, I need to say this. They are our rivals. Their empire mocked us in front of the entire galaxy. They sent this ship to spy on our failure. If we save them, we reveal our rescue techniques. We waste fuel and time, and they will show no gratitude. The Vrin do not understand compassion. They see it as weakness. I know, Bora said quietly. Then why are we even discussing this? We should continue to the artifact. Their deaths are unfortunate, but they chose to follow us into danger. Jihan turned from her medical station, her voice sharp. We are discussing this because we are human. Because leaving 5 living beings to die slowly in the void is not something we do, not even to our enemies. Especially not to our enemies, because that is what separates us from them. That kind of thinking gets good people killed, Kyungmin shot back. In war, sentiment is a luxury we cannot afford. This is not war, Jihan insisted. This is a rescue. We are in a competition against every civilization in the galaxy. How is that not war? Bora raised one hand, silencing them both. She stood and walked to the view screen, staring at the dying Vrin ship. 5 lives hung in the balance. 5 beings who had families, dreams, fears just like humans did. 5 people who had followed orders and ended up trapped in a gravity eddy that would crush them slowly. Hyunwoo, she said finally, start building the tether. Summon plot the rescue course. Kyungmin, I need you to work out timing for the magnetic coupling. Jihan, prepare medical bay for Vrin physiology. We are doing this, Captain. Kyungmin started to protest. Bora turned to face him. Her voice was not angry, just firm and sad. We are doing this not because they deserve it. Not because it is smart, but because I will not become the kind of person who calculates lives like math problems. The Vrin think in terms of strength and conquest. They measure worth by who can dominate who. If we act like them to beat them, then what exactly have we won? She paused, making sure every crew member heard her next words. We came here to prove humanity's worth. What worth is there in letting people die when we have the power to save them? If we abandon them, we might reach the artifact. We might pass the trial, but we will have lost something more important than any test. We will have lost ourselves. The bridge was silent. Then slowly, Kyungmin nodded. Yes, Captain. I will work on the timing calculations. His voice was still uncertain, but he would follow orders. Hyunwoo worked quickly in engineering, pulling apart components and reassembling them into something new. A magnetic tether system that could lock onto the Vrin ship's hull and hold through intense gravitational stress. It was crude, built from spare parts and hope, but it would work. It had to work. Soman plotted and replotted the slingshot trajectory. She factored in the rotation of the 3 gravity wells, the mass of both ships, the approach vector, the release point. 100 variables, each one critical. One mistake and they would not get a second chance. Jihan prepared the medical bay for Vryn physiology. She had studied their biology during her training but had never actually treated one. They breathed a nitrogen-oxygen mix with higher pressure than humans preferred. Their internal organs were arranged differently. Their blood chemistry was complex. She prepared medications, set up proper atmospheric controls, and hoped she would not need to perform surgery with an anatomy textbook as her only guide. 2 hours later, the Persistent was ready. Hyunwoo had built his tether. Selman had her course locked in. Kyungmin had calculated the magnetic coupling sequence down to the millisecond. Jihan had medical bay ready for any emergency. All crew secure for high-gravity maneuvers, Bora announced shipwide. This is going to be rough. Selman's hands rested on the navigation controls. She took 3 deep breaths, centering herself the way she used to before dangerous asteroid runs. Beginning approach. The Persistent dove toward the gravitational chaos. Space bent around them in ways that made human eyes hurt. The view screen showed reality twisting, light curving, darkness deepening. Proximity alarms screamed warnings, but Selman ignored them. She was flying on pure instinct now, feeling the gravity wells the way a sailor feels the wind. They passed within kilometers of the micro-black hole. The ship groaned as gravitational forces tried to tear it apart in different directions. Hyunwoo's shields held, but barely. Red lights flashed across every display. The Vryn scout ship appeared ahead, tumbling slowly in the eddy. Its hull was cracked in multiple places. Atmosphere leaked steadily. It was dying and everyone aboard knew it. Magnetic tether ready, Kyungmin reported, his voice tight with stress. Coupling in 3, 2, 1, now. The tether shot out. A magnetic beam that locked onto the Vryn ship's hull with a deep resonant clang that echoed through both vessels. The Persistent's engines screamed as they suddenly pulled double mass against opposing gravity wells. Got them, Hyunwoo shouted. But the strain is incredible. We cannot hold this long. We do not need long, Selman said through gritted teeth. Her hands moved across controls in a blur, using gravity assist in 5 seconds. Everyone hold on. The Persistent swung around the micro-black hole, pulling the Vryn ship with it like a stone on a string. For 3 seconds they were at the edge of the event horizon. Any closer and not even light could escape. But Selman's calculations were perfect. The gravity caught them, accelerated them, and flung them outward at tremendous speed. They shot away from the eddy like a projectile from a railgun. Both ships together held by the magnetic tether, escaping the trap that had held the Vryn for hours. Alarms gradually quieted. The gravitational stress eased. Space returned to something approaching normal. We are clear, Selman announced, slumping back in her chair. Her hands were shaking. The bridge erupted in relieved cheers. They had done it. Against all logic and sense, they had pulled off a rescue that should have been impossible. Hyunwoo's voice came through, exhausted, but triumphant. Both ships intact, though my beautiful engines will need significant rest and probably counseling after that maneuver. Status on the Vryn ship? Bora asked. Jihan checked her medical scanners. All 5 life signs stable but weak. They need immediate assistance. Their ship has no atmosphere left. We need to bring them aboard now. The 2 ships maneuvered together carefully, docking collars aligned with hollow clangs. Atmosphere equalized with a hiss of pressure. The airlock between the vessels opened. 5 Vryn stumbled through, their silver exoskeletons scorched and damaged. They moved awkwardly, clearly injured and disoriented. The lead Vryn, identifiable by rank markings on his carapace, straightened as much as he could and fixed his compound eyes on Bora. I am Sub-Commander Ravik, he said in accented but clear human language. You saved us, why? Bora met his gaze steadily. Because you needed saving. That is not an answer. We are Vryn, you are human. Our civilizations are rivals. We were sent to observe your failure. You gain nothing from our rescue. Logic dictates you should have left us to die and continued your mission. Maybe Vryn logic dictates that, Bora replied, Sci. The ancient vessel hung in space like a monument to forgotten ages. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of the Persistent, with lines that suggested both grace and power. Its hull was dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. No running lights showed. No engine glow indicated movement. Yet every sensor confirmed it was active, functional, and watching them. Analysis? Bora asked quietly. Kyungmin worked his tactical station with growing frustration. Captain? This ship does not match any design in the galactic database. The hull material is unknown. The power signature is unlike anything I have ever seen. It is ancient, but I cannot determine how ancient. Thousands of years at minimum. Weapons? If it has any, they are not active or recognizable. But a ship this size could be armed with anything. Soman checked navigation. It is positioned directly between us and the artifact's energy signature. We cannot reach the artifact without passing it. Have we tried hailing them? Bora asked. Broadcasting on all standard frequencies, Kyungmin confirmed. No response yet. Minutes passed in tense silence. The crew watched the mysterious vessel, waiting for some sign of intent. Friend or enemy, guardian or obstacle. The ship gave no indication either way. Then, without warning, every display on the Persistence bridge lit up simultaneously. Text appeared in human language, but the words formed in a way that suggested machine translation from something far older. You are human. You came with one ship, why? The question hung in the air. Bora approached the communication station carefully. I am Captain Bora of Earth vessel, the Persistent. We came to retrieve the Ashborn artifact as part of the Great Trial. That does not answer the question. Why one ship? Bora considered her response carefully. Something about the question suggested it was important. Because one ship was all we needed. We did not come to conquer. We came to learn. A long pause. Then new text appeared. All others came with fleets. Hundreds of ships. Thousands of warriors. They came to take what they believed they earned through strength. You came differently. Explain. We are different from other species, Bora said. We believe there is value in choosing carefully over choosing excessively. Pretty words. But actions reveal truth. You rescued your rivals. The Vryn aboard your ship were sent to ensure your failure. You saved them regardless. Why? This was clearly a test, though of what, Bora could not say. She decided honesty was the best approach. Because they needed help and we could provide it. No other reason was necessary. You depleted your resources. You made yourself vulnerable. You risked your mission for rivals who wish you harm. Yes, this is illogical. By some definitions of logic, yes, but not by ours. More text appeared, faster now, as if the ancient ship was processing new information. Stand by. Analysis in progress. Jihan spoke up from medical. Captain, Subcommander Ravik is asking to come to the bridge. He says it is urgent. Send him up. The Vryn officer entered minutes later, moving more easily now that Jihan had treated his injuries. His silver exoskeleton had been patched with human medical materials, creating an odd patchwork appearance. He approached Bora with what might have been hesitation in his body language. Captain, I have been monitoring communications from Medical Bay. That vessel. I know what it is. Everyone turned to look at him. Ravik continued, his voice uncertain. It is a precursor ship. The civilization that existed before all current galactic civilizations. They vanished 12,000 years ago, but their technology still functions. They built the trials. They created the tests every species must face. Kyungmin leaned forward. The Vryn faced a precursor ship during your trial? Yes, we brought 500 warships. When the precursor vessel would not move, we attacked it. Our weapons had no effect. It destroyed 300 of our ships in under 5 minutes. The rest retreated. We failed the trial completely. It took us 3 more attempts over 1,000 years before we passed. How did you eventually pass? Bora asked. Ravik's mandibles clicked in what might have been shame. We waited until the precursor ship entered dormancy. We snuck past while it was inactive. We claimed the artifact through deception and patience, not worthiness. The bridge fell silent. The Vryn, the mighty empire that mocked humanity, had passed their trial by essentially cheating. By waiting for the guard to sleep, rather than proving themselves worthy. Every species that faced the precursor ships tried force or deception, Ravik continued. None succeeded in the way the trials were intended. The artifacts were distributed, but the true test was failed by all. New text appeared on the displays. The Vryn speaks truth. All species failed the true test. All valued the prize over the principle, until now. Bora felt her heart rate increase. What do you mean? The trials were never about reaching the artifact. They were about the choices made along the way. Do you value conquest over cooperation? Power over compassion? Victory over virtue? Every species revealed their nature through their choices. More text scrolled. The Vryn sent 500 ships and tried to destroy the Guardian. The Queller sent 800 and attempted to swarm past defenses. The Telmari sent 300 and tried negotiation but abandoned it when convenient. All failed the true test. And humans? Bora asked quietly. Humans sent one ship. A statement of humility. Humans rescued their rivals at great cost. A demonstration of compassion. Humans chose life over victory when forced to decide. A revelation of character. The displays flickered. Then a holographic projection formed in the center of the bridge. It showed the persistence journey through the expanse. Their careful navigation. Their creative solution to the drone field. Their dangerous rescue of the Vryn. Every moment had been watched and evaluated. The trial was never about reaching this location. The ancient ship continued. It was about proving you deserve what you seek. The artifact contains knowledge from 40 extinct civilizations, knowledge that could elevate your species or destroy it. The precursors who created it wanted to ensure it fell into worthy hands. Bora understood now. And we proved ourselves worthy? You proved you value life above personal gain. You proved you can adapt rather than overwhelm. You proved you think in terms of cooperation rather than dominance. These qualities suggest you will use the knowledge responsibly. The text paused, then continued. But there is one final test. One final choice that will determine everything. Alarms blared. Engineering displays showed fuel levels dropping critically. Hyunwoo's panicked voice came through communication. Captain, fuel system failure. We are losing reserves rapidly. At current rate, we have fuel for either claiming the artifact or returning the Vryn to safe space. Not both. Bora's blood ran cold. She checked the displays herself, hoping for an error. But the numbers were clear. They had stretched their resources to the limit with the rescue. Now they faced an impossible choice. Reach the artifact and complete the trial, or ensure the Vryn crew survived. Can we repair the fuel system? She asked. Negative, Hyunwoo replied. The damage is structural, probably from stress during the rescue maneuver. I can slow the leak but not stop it. Kyungmin pulled up calculations. Captain, the numbers are clear. If we take the Vryn to the nearest safe station, we will run out of fuel before reaching the artifact. The trial will fail. If we claim the artifact first, the Vryn will drift until their life support fails. They will die. The bridge fell silent except for the quiet beeping of failing systems. 5 Vryn lives. The pride of humanity. The great trial. Everything they had worked for came down to this moment. Bora looked at her crew. Somin's face was pale but determined. Hyunwoo looked sick. Jihan had tears in her eyes but said nothing. Kyungmin waited for orders, his earlier doubts clearly warring with his sense of duty. Opinions? Bora asked quietly. We did not come this far to fail, Kyungmin said, but his voice lacked conviction. Jihan shook her head. We did not come this far to become murderers either. If we let them die for a piece of ancient technology, we are no better than the civilizations that failed before us. The artifact could help billions of humans, Kyungmin argued weakly. Only if we remain human enough to use it properly, Jihan countered. Somin spoke up, her voice quiet but firm. Captain, you already know what we have to do. We all know. There is no real choice here. There is only the illusion of choice. Bora nodded slowly. She looked at the holographic projection still showing their journey. Every moment had been a test. Every challenge had revealed something about humanity. And now the final test was the simplest and hardest of all. Choose between a prize and principles, between victory and virtue, between what they wanted and what was right. She activated ship-wide communication. All crew, this is the captain. We have a fuel system failure. We can either complete the trial or save the Vryn crew. We cannot do both. A pause. Then she continued. I am choosing to save the Vryn. We will set course for the nearest safe station immediately. The trial will fail, but 5 living beings will survive. That is more important than any artifact or any test. From Medical Bay, Ravik's voice came through the communication system. Captain, no. You cannot. You came so far. You proved so much. Do not throw it away for us. We are your rivals. We do not deserve this sacrifice. This is not about deserving, Bora replied gently. This is about who we are, Desir. Vel Prime Station appeared on the view screen like a city floating in the void. Thousands of ships from hundreds of worlds orbited the massive structure, docking bays that could hold warships the size of mountains, communication arrays that reached across the galaxy. This was the heart of galactic civilization, and today it held its breath. The Persistent approached slowly, its hull scarred and patched but intact. Behind it, a Vryn transport carried Subcommander Ravik and his crew, rescued from the expanse. Every monitoring station tracked the human ship. Every news network broadcast live feeds. The galaxy that had jeered 3 weeks ago now watched in complete silence. Traffic control is requesting we proceed to Bay 12, Soman reported. They are clearing all other ships from our approach path. Interesting, Bora observed. We were given Bay 74 on departure. Something has changed. Everything has changed, Kyungmin said quietly. He had been monitoring galactic news feeds during their return journey. Captain, you need to see this. He transferred the feeds to the main view screen. News reports from dozens of worlds all covering the same story. The human ship that had entered the Ashbourne expanse alone. The impossible rescue of Vryn rivals. The encounter with a precursor vessel. The success where 846 other species had ultimately failed the true test. Ravik had transmitted his full report before leaving human protection. That report had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. A Vryn officer, from the proud empire that had mocked humanity, telling the story of humans who valued compassion over victory. His words had forced the entire galaxy to reconsider everything they thought they knew. The betting markets collapsed, Kyungmin continued. Species that ignored us are now requesting diplomatic meetings. The Talmari want to establish cultural exchange programs. Even the Kelvor Syndicate, who only care about profit, are offering trade agreements with surprisingly favorable terms. And the Vryn? Bora asked. High Commander Thelax has been removed from his position. The Vryn Council is apparently experiencing significant internal debate about their approach to other species. Ravik's report apparently embarrassed them deeply. Jihan smiled from her medical station. Good. Maybe embarrassment will teach them what arrogance could not. The Persistent glided into Bay 12, settling onto the docking clamps with barely a shudder. Selman had become an even better pilot over the past weeks. They all had grown, changed, learned things about themselves and their species. Exterior airlock shows a full honor guard, Kyungmin reported. Captain, they are treating us like returning heroes. We are not heroes, Bora said firmly. We simply did what needed to be done. Let us not forget that. But as the airlock opened and they stepped onto Vel Prime Station, the galaxy made it clear they would not be allowed to simply slip away unnoticed. The honor guard stood in perfect formation, representatives from dozens of species. At their front stood Ambassador Deho, his face showing pride and emotion he had probably been holding back for weeks. Captain Bora, he said formally, though his voice trembled slightly. On behalf of Earth and the human delegation, welcome home. You have done something remarkable. We did our job. Ambassador, Bora replied, you did far more than that. Come, the Galactic Council is waiting. The walk through Vel Prime's corridors felt surreal. Everywhere they went, beings from 100 worlds stopped to watch. Some stared with open curiosity. Others bowed or made gestures of respect in their native customs. A few looked angry or resentful, but they were the minority. The council chambers looked the same as 3 weeks ago, but everything felt different. The vast space was packed beyond capacity. Every civilization had sent representatives. Even species that rarely attended council sessions had come for this. Captain Bora and her crew walked to the human platform. Above them, holographic displays showed their faces to billions watching from across the galaxy. The artifact, carefully contained in the Persistence cargo bay, would be presented soon. But first, apparently, there would be speeches. High Counselor Vrimak of the Talmari Collective stood first. The Talmari were among the oldest and most respected species, known for their wisdom and fairness. 3 weeks ago, this council watched humanity depart with one ship. Many laughed. Many predicted immediate failure. I confess I had doubts as well. She paused, her 4 eyes focusing on Bora. We were wrong. All of us. We measured humanity by our own standards, by our own methods. We forgot that true worth is not measured by the size of your fleet or the power of your weapons. It is measured by the choices you make when no one is forcing you to choose well. Another counselor stood, then another. One by one, representatives from species that had ignored or dismissed humanity spoke. Some apologized for their mockery. Others simply acknowledged that they had underestimated Earth's children. Then the Vryn delegation stood. Not Thelax, who was conspicuously absent. A different commander, younger, with markings that suggested a more progressive faction within the Empire. I am Commander Valis. I speak for a Vryn council that is learning painful lessons. His voice carried genuine emotion. Sub-Commander Ravik's report has forced us to confront uncomfortable truths. We passed our great trial through patience and deception. We claimed the artifact but failed the test. We built an empire on strength and conquest, forgetting that true power comes from character. Valis turned to face Bora directly. Humanity showed us what we forgot. You rescued our people when you had every reason to let them die. You chose life over victory. You proved that compassion is not weakness but the highest form of strength. He made a gesture, and 5 Vryn entered the chamber. Ravik and his crew, walking with formal precision to stand beside their commander. These 5 survived because of human virtue. They have petitioned our council to establish a new relationship with Earth, not as rivals, but as students of the lessons you taught. Ravik stepped forward. Captain Bora, you saved my life. More importantly, you saved my understanding of what civilization should be. I was sent to ensure your failure. Instead, I witnessed your triumph. Not a triumph of weapons or technology, but a triumph of principle. I will spend my remaining years working to help my people learn what you tried to teach them. The chamber erupted in sounds that might have been applause in 100 different forms. Clicking mandibles, harmonic whistles, rhythmic thumping. The galaxy was learning to respect humanity. But one voice cut through the celebration. A delegate from the Kelvor Syndicate, a species known for cold pragmatism. This is all very touching, but let us address facts. The artifact. Does it truly contain the knowledge promised? Or was this simply an elaborate morality play? Bora nodded to Hyunwoo, who had been waiting for this moment. The engineer activated controls and holographic projections filled the chamber. Technical specifications for advanced medical treatments, energy systems that produced zero waste, faster-than-light drives that did not damage space-time, manufacturing techniques that could turn common materials into advanced components, agricultural methods that could feed billions without harming ecosystems. The accumulated knowledge of 40 extinct civilizations, now freely available. The precursors wanted this knowledge shared, not hoarded, Bora explained. They designed the trials to find a civilization worthy of being the knowledge's steward. A civilization that would share it rather than weaponize it. She paused, looking around the chamber at hundreds of alien faces. Humanity is honored to serve as that steward. This knowledge is available to all council species immediately, with no restrictions. We ask only that it be used to help, not harm. Silence fell across the chamber. Free access to precursor technology was unprecedented. Most species that claimed such prizes kept them as proprietary advantages, but humans were simply giving it away. The Kelvor delegate spoke again, his voice showing rare uncertainty. You would share this freely? You ask nothing in return? We ask that you use it wisely, Bora said simply. The precursors evaluated species on their character, not their strength. If we hoarded this knowledge, we would prove ourselves unworthy of it. Better to share it and hope others use it as well as we intend to. More discussion followed. Technical questions about the artifact's contents. Philosophical debates about what humanity's success meant for galactic civilization. Proposals for new cooperative ventures between Earth and dozens of other worlds. Through it all, Bora and her crew stood quietly, uncomfortable with the attention, but handling it with grace. They had not sought fame or recognition. They had simply done what seemed right. Finally, High Counselor Vrimak called for order. This council formally recognizes humanity's successful completion of the Great Trial. Earth is granted full council membership with voting rights, effective immediately. She paused. But more importantly, humanity has reminded us of something we forgot. That civilization is not measured by what we conquer, but by what we choose to protect. The chamber responded with widespread agreement. The jeers were gone, replaced by respect hard-earned and freely given. Later, after the formal ceremonies concluded, Bora found a quiet observation deck overlooking the station's docking bays. She stood alone, watching ships come and go, thinking about the journey that had brought them here. Footsteps approached. She turned to find Ravik,